What's up, YouTube and wrestling fans? Last night was Impact Wrestling's Bash at the Brewery, coming from Impact Plus with the pregame free on Twitch TV. The pregame match immediately started about 7:30 with the women's tag team match. We get a handheld view with Kid Ref holding the camera. This looked to be a decent match, however I hate this type of camera angle. Rebels team definitely worked well as a tag team and they wind up with the win after about 10 minutes. I will say I like how the pregame is a lot different than a regular pre-show. It's not better, it's not any worse, but it's definitely different with the production. I just also wish the matches weren't in this manner. Next pregame matchup is the 8-man tag match. During the beginning of the match, Kid Ref's dial-up internet connection started messing up, and I wound up missing the entire match. So I come out of it knowing just as much about these men as I did before the match began. I will say though, the team, the Pillars of Destiny, seems similar to the Viking Experience or GOD. As the show starts, we get the Rascals versus Andy Dalton, Matthew Palmer, and Steve Reno. Commentary audio is good, the visuals are good, however the audience seems deader than a Japan show. I then noticed there's no in-ring sounds that make it a little different as well. It's like watching on mute with Josh Matthews and Don Callis commentating over it. The other opponents get a little offense, but this was more of a Rascal showcase to see the Rascals come off with the win. We then get Eddie Edwards talking in the back, and he's talking about defining moments. There is an OVE promo on Tessa Blanchard and, in Sammy's word, the old Extreme Wrestlers. We get Brian Cage in the ring talking, which winds up causing Moose to come out. Michael Elgin then winds up coming out and attacks Cage with Moose trying to get him to stop. Next up, we got Fallah Bahh versus Anthony Andrews for the RCW Heavyweight Championship. I don't know if it was the match itself or it was the lack of the sound. However, Fallah Bahh retains the championship and I couldn't really get into the match. Fallah Bahh seems to have lost a lot of weight since the last time I seen him, and he reminds me of an early day Yokozuna before the massive weight gain. Backstage, Moose is pissed off that Michael Elgin sent Cage back to the hospital, and this cost Moose his match. Next up, we have Havoc with Su Yung versus Jordan Grace. They announced that the Eddie Edwards Michael Elgin match is now a 3-way, including Moose. Back to the match, Jordan starts off strong. They go back and forth until Su Yung interferes, causing a disqualification for Havoc. Rosemary runs out to make the save, and now we have a tag team match, players, which honestly made it a better match. I think adding a little more excitement as well as speed. Jordan dives to the outside on the Havoc as Rosemary and Su Yung go at it in the ring. Rosemary winds up hitting the spear for the win. As they leave, Havoc and Su Yung show more signs of dissension amongst the ranks. This whole show basically just feels like a Slammiversary hype show. In the next match, we have OVE versus Tessa Blanchard, Willie Mack, and Rich Swann. Tessa picks up the win with a Magnum off the top rope. This was a pretty good match, was basically to hype up Tessa for Slammiversary. Next up is the triple threat, Big Mike versus Moose versus Eddie Edwards, and I have to say I was glad to see the show was going to end before Impact began, thinking that they would overlap each other. Since I have an addiction to wrestling, I didn't want to miss Impact, which I assume would be better than this event. Back to the match itself, 3 Elgin bombs on Eddie Edwards. We get Michael Elgin with the win. This match seemed to be pretty good. It wasn't nothing spectacular, but if you overlook the quiet, it was pretty good. Next up, the North run their mouths in the back before we get ready for the next match for the Tag Team Championships, LAX versus the North. We get good mat-based wrestling and technical wrestling in this. Josh proceeds to mention setting the DVR for Impact, changing everything he mentioned before about being able to switch over after the show to catch Impact on Twitch. Anyhow, back to the match. This was a different type of match at first, and then the usual high-flying LAX. Great tag team action by both teams. The North wind up using the championship to hit LAX, followed by a roll-up. And shockingly, we get new tag team champions. Slammiversary card subject to change, ladies and gentlemen. The match is later announced as a 3-way with the North, LAX, and the Rascals for Slammiversary. We then get Jimmy Jacobs interviewing Rob Van Dam backstage from earlier in the day. Main event up next, Rob Van Dam versus Sami Callihan. As expected, Jake Chris comes out and interferes in the match. Tessa winds up coming out and taking him out and says thumbs up, thumbs down, causing a distraction to Sami Callihan. RVD nails him while he's holding the chair, and then he hits a 5-star splash with the chair on Sami's stomach, leading to RVD winning the match. Honestly, I wasn't really feeling the show. If you're the type of person that thinks the crowd and sound effects in the ring make a match, skip the show. If you have other things you need to do those things, and you really won't miss anything. I would suggest possibly watching 1 or 2 matches, maybe if something has your interest or favorite superstar in it, just to get a feel of the event. Keep in mind the atmosphere stays the same the entire card. As I was watching, I was hoping things would improve. Deep Impact is, however, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, free on Twitch. I have no idea the card, but as a cross promotion with Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, I may have a recap and some sort of review, but I'm not really sure if I want to watch the event. However, be sure to stay tuned for Slammiversary on Sunday. I will make sure to have my predictions for that as well as overview.